said, these are the topics that we'll go over today. If you have any questions, if you want to get engaged, please pop it in the chat, and we'll go through everything shortly. So we'll go straight onto it. So the objective of today's session is to gain a deeper understanding of the elements that contribute to successful communication. We hope you finish this webinar with some handy tips on how to tackle pre-interview nerves, which are super important, prepare for presentations and conversations. So that could be a presentation at university, it could be a conversation at a networking event or an in-person event, and more importantly, feeling more confident in workplace interactions, whether it's your casual job, whatever you may be doing to just earn some money while you're studying, or if it's a full-time job once you finish your studies. It's important to feel confident in those interactions. So hopefully you get a bit out of this webinar and you feel more confident in those situations. So firstly, overcoming nervousness and building self-confidence. So here are some strategies on overcoming nervousness. Firstly, your mindset shift. So let's start with a mindset shift. Instead of viewing nervousness as a hurdle, let's embrace it as excitement for the opportunities ahead. Now, that might be easier said than done, but here are two strategies that Namita and myself put in place before we present, before we attend a networking event, before we go, before we interview someone else. We always close your eyes and literally just visualize the best possible situation for yourself. So picture the details vividly, like the outcome that you would like. So if you're doing a presentation, you visualize people being engaged in your presentation, you visualize people maybe taking notes, asking questions, and you visualize yourself being confident enough to answer them. So put yourself in the best positive mindset that you can before you do the presentation, before you have the conversation. Even if that's on your way to a networking event, on your way to an exam, and you're on the tram, just have a moment to yourself and just think, what's the best possible situation that I can, or best possible result that I want? Visualize that, and it just might help you kind of overcome a little bit of the nerves. And of course, things like mindfulness is super important as well. So again, taking a minute to just focus on your breath. It helps you reduce your stress and helps you be present, whether it's in an interview, whether it's in a conversation. So always just take a moment. It applies across a lot of things. If you're in an interview and you just need to take a breath, you need to just have a moment before you answer a question. We're all human. So make sure you do, just make sure you're mindful of your own stresses and your own nerves, and hopefully these sort of things can help you overcome those. So preparation is super important. It's a key to building your self-confidence, feeling, like you can tackle an assignment, an interview, a group project, a presentation, whatever it might be. So success starts with preparation, which could mean that this could be a presentation for your peers, a staff meeting, as simple as, updating a team or speaking to your boss at work or a customer, whatever it might be. Here are a few things to get checked off before you get underway into that. So research, and that could be researching the company that you're interviewing for, researching the hiring manager, could be an internship opportunities, knowing the details about the internship so that you're not going into the interview asking lots of questions. You've already done your research, and the same with it could be a company, you've already researched their values. It could be a great job and you're kind of going, oh, but I don't know what they require from me. They usually will pop it in the job advertisement. Most of the information there is there for you. So doing your research shows the other person that you're capable of going and doing the extra work, and you're coming in prepared. So that comes with understanding the task as well. So it could be understanding a job title, job description. It could be understanding a task, a project, a meeting agenda, anything that kind of comes across in your job ready journey. So anticipate some common questions as well. So say if you're going into a job interview to work as a barista in the local cafe, they may say to you, Are you flexible with your mornings? Can you come in at 6 a.m. till 9 a.m.? Think about the things that a cafe would want to know. Are you confident with customers? Have you had experience making coffees? Have you handled cash before? Think about things that they'll ask you, and maybe 10 or so questions. And if you have answers for those, you can kind of, that hopefully will make you feel more confident going ahead into the interview, going into a networking event, whatever it might be. Even an exam, you obviously anticipate any common questions. Someone might just say, tell me about yourself, or what do you hope to do in 3 years' time? So if you have small little answers for those common questions, hopefully you will feel more confident. And that comes with developing your personal pitch as well. So if you meet someone, they would love to obviously know a bit about yourself, your goals, your values, the things that you enjoy doing. So that we'll touch on personal pitch a little bit later, but developing that 30 to 45 second pitch about yourself is a great way, again, to make you feel more confident. Just admit a few more people to the Zoom, which is amazing. And finally, mock interviews and peer feedback. So super handy things to be doing with others to get feedback, usually, hopefully constructive feedback on what you're doing. So for example, Namita, who was supposed to be hosting this webinar, she is terrific in that I will tell her, we've got this presentation coming up. Here are the slides. This is what I was thinking of doing. Here are a few activities that we're going to do. And she'll give me the feedback on, okay, maybe take out this slide. It's not really relevant to that audience. When you're speaking to students, make sure that you're involving them, offering for them to join the chat, asking questions throughout. So always use other people, whether it's a mentor, a university lecturer, like whoever it might be, someone at work, a family member, use them to help you bring that feedback together. Mock interview, if you don't know what that is pretty much just someone pretending to interview you. So you might say to a family member or a friend, hey, I have a job interview coming up at a cafe around the corner. I'm just getting some casual experience, a little bit of experience, a little bit of money for me to spend, and I'm kind of want to get ready for the interview. Can you help me out with a couple of questions? I think that they'll ask these common questions. So can you ask them of me? And you might be on a phone, you might be on a Zoom call. And it's actually quite amazing how different you are when you're being interviewed by someone else to what you just think you would say. So they're great examples of things to do to make you feel more confident. And that you then take that into the workplace as well. So a mock interview may not be for a new job every time. It might be for a promotion. It might be for a meeting. And you're kind of like, I'm not too sure how it's going to go down. I really want someone else to trial what I would, the answers I would have to the questions. And please feel free to ask any questions or just pop in some notes into the chat box as we go. Here comes practice, as we were talking about. That's where mock interviews come into it. So to master any skill, practice is key. There are many ways to engage in role-playing exercises for job interviews or networking scenarios. And to polish your skills, try attending mock interviews or seek feedback from peers or mentors. Another thing is using a mirror, literally using a mirror to talk to yourself, or recording yourself via video. Just check that. And of course, attending as many things as you can. I was speaking to a student yesterday who is studying geology, and I said to her, try and go to things in Melbourne. She arrived 6 weeks ago. I said, go to as many things as you can, become familiar with different companies, the different values that Australian workplaces have, and kind of learn about how you can best navigate that change, because soon she'll be looking for a full-time job. And she wants to know, what is a workplace like here in Australia? Is it different to back home in Colombia? Is it, et cetera, et cetera? So Going to events, even if they're free, go on Eventbrite, go on Study Melbourne website, whatever it might be. There's lots of free, great events out there for you to network, to build your network, to try these skills. So to just speak to people, and you might not have much to say, but simple questions. You might just say, hello, I'm not from here. I've just arrived from China. I started studying here in March, and I'm looking to do this. Do you know anyone in the room that I may be able to meet? It's as simple as it needs to be. So that kind of comes with practice, is just networking scenarios are probably a great way to practice. But if you back to basics, mirrors, recording yourself, get a friend on board, type out your questions, write down the answers, whatever it might be, just practice, and lots of research. The more the better, which is perfect if you can do a lot. If you can only do the basics, that's fine. I know that everyone's time poor, so see what you can do. So here we go into exploring the power of body language and non-verbal cues. So as you can see in that slide, she is using body language. She's sitting upright, engaging with the camera, obviously using a visual aid, which is really good. If you can use a board, if you can use images, videos, whatever it might be. Audiences like to see content. So even me right now speaking to you, yes, I'm sharing my screen, but even better than that would be to maybe show you a quick video, or to do a short activity if we had the time. So think about what the audience want to see. If you were sitting in a room, do you want to just kind of listen to someone, or would you like them to go, hey, check out this great video that actually summarizes what I'm saying? Think about those things, and hopefully it will help you feel more confident as well. And it also prompts you to, I guess, look at that thing and reset before you take a breath. As it says here, 93% of studies suggest that communication is non-verbal. So that comes in body language, it comes in gestures, it comes in the tone of your voice, eye contact, those sort of things. It's all about how we express ourselves through non-verbal cues. And I know that Namita, when she was going to host this webinar, she has put in a few slides that she's more familiar with. So hopefully, if we can get her on, she'll be able to explain them in full. But these are the 3 V's. Vocal, visual, and verbal. So as you can see from the graph, 50% or 55% is body movements, face and arms, 7% words, 38% modulation and pauses. So feel free to screenshot these things and think about them, because if you're in an interview, if you're presenting, if you're in a meeting, think about how your body comes across. If you sat like this, if you were slumped in your chair and you just spoke to slides and didn't engage with the audience, it's not really going to reflect a confident person who has done their research, who is motivating the audience. So try and think about all of those things, and hopefully that with the content that you're actually providing creates the 100% of successful presentation or conversation or interaction. So here we have facial expressions. Your face tells a story. Convey your confidence, your enthusiasm, and your professionalism through your expressions. Attentive and positive vibes, including smiles, grins, and raised eyebrows, and avoid frowns, or as you can see, like a confused face. Avoid, if you can, being like a confused face or an angry face. Always, if you can show your confidence, if you can show your smiles, you'll come across as a more confident speaker. And your gestures and posture. I think someone's maybe speaking, but that's okay. If you'd like to, feel free to ask any questions via the chat or on your microphone, go for it. Your gestures and your postures. So explore how gestures can amplify your message. And yes, there's a global language here, but let's also decode the cultural signals. So power poses. If you'd like to right now, no one has their camera on, so feel free to think of a pose that makes you feel super confident. It could be standing up, it could be sitting up really, really straight with your arms folded or arms in front of you, or if you're presenting, you might be standing at the front of the room. Think of a pose that makes you think, I'm really confident and I'm ready to do this, and try and think of that pose every time you have that interaction. It may be that you have to hold something in your hand, a pen, a water bottle, a piece of paper, whatever it might be. And every time you feel a little bit uneasy, maybe think of that pose, think of your breath, and hopefully that helps your communication and makes you feel, more confident and de-stresses, because we do overthink a lot of these situations. We go, oh my gosh, what if I have to present on this thing, I have to go to this interview. But if you can show more confidence in yourself, you will actually, the person that you're presenting to will just kind of go, okay, like they're confident. Let's see if the content or if the things they're actually saying make sense. Like, perfect, this is great. And also, here we go. Here are some power poses. So a high power pose, as you can see, is standing, your hands on your hips. And then you've got low power pose, which is sitting down with folded in the lap, which might be a bit more common anyway in an interview. And then hunching is obviously, as we go down, is obviously lower power pose. So think of things that, if you're sitting upright in a job interview, try and think of those things throughout an interview, throughout a coffee catch up with someone. If you can hold yourself, if you can, it also helps your speech as well, because your diaphragm is up nice and tall. And yeah, it's just overall like eye contact as well. Eye contact keeps you engaged. You don't have to stare at the person the whole time. But think about, engaging with the person by reading what they're saying, but then diverting back to their eyes, diverting back your attention back to them. And again, when you're presenting, when you're speaking, when you're interacting with someone, maintain eye contact in the most, I guess, casual way that you can. And that could be literally just looking at them and then saying, over here we did this, and you can look away for a little bit. But if you maintain eye contact, it shows that you're listening, it shows that you're attentive, and as it says, it builds trust and shows that you're present. You may have other things you're thinking about, but if you're looking at the person, it comes across as active listening, and they'll know that you're engaged in what they're speaking about, or you're engaged in what you're presenting about. Voice, tone, and pitch. So be aware of yourself, be prepared and confident, and use great body language. And the more chance the audience will want to listen and be involved. So think about the way that you project your voice. If you're speaking in a room, you don't have a microphone, you obviously need to speak up. If someone else around the meeting table, or if someone in the group asks a question and you think maybe no one else heard that, repeat the question. So John just asked a question about building and engineering. My answer is, and then you go on to have your answer. And that way the rest of the group don't feel like, oh, I didn't hear the question, I'm not really sure where it's going now. So keep everyone engaged. If you're speaking to a screen, if you're speaking to a video, make sure that you're interacting back to the group. If you're in an interview and they're asking a question, if you don't know the answer, if you start looking down and I don't know, so it's okay to just say, do you mind if I take a short moment? I'll have a think about that question, and I might have to come back to it. And if they say, oh, look, you need to answer that one now, you can kind of say, look, I've actually never had that question, or I wasn't prepared for that one in particular, but to go around it, I would say this. So always just kind of go, you know what, I need to take a little breath. I need to have a sip of water. And then that way your voice and your pitch comes across more confidently. As you can see, that gentleman is doing a great job using hands, eye contact, visual aids, it's all happening. And actually, he's got a little recorder there. So that might not be recording just the room itself. He might be spinning it around to him. But things like that, feel free to record yourself if you're doing a Zoom presentation, if you're in a team meeting, whatever it might be, even a group project at university. Feel free to record it for your own purposes. You may want to see how you go presenting and interacting with other people. A reminder here, where possible, incorporate visuals such as images, graphs, quotes, stats, statistics, and these will all be great prompts for you if you need to reset. Plus, this is more engaging and practical for the audience. So as I was saying earlier, anything that is a bit different to you just speaking is sometimes a little bit more engaging, especially if something's going for 20 minutes plus. So yes, graphs, stats, interesting quotes, interesting images, videos, whatever it might be, even if it's something physical. In a job interview, it might be a bit tricky. So that's where body language, gestures, eye contact come into it a little bit more. Here we've got what makes a great conversationalist. So this is literally someone that has a conversation, and what is it that makes that conversation great? So that person, they listen more than they speak. So that's showing that, you know, they're interested in other people. Yes, they have something to say, but they're absorbing the information around them. They use your name throughout the conversation. And this is also a great tip. If you're having a chat to someone, you've met them 5 minutes ago, their name is John, you can say, so what about you, John? And that almost helps you memorize their name. It's quite a useful tool to any networking. As you progress through your career, you might pick these little things up that just help you along the way. So you meet someone and you say, hi, John, I'm Max. Lovely to meet you. So John, what do you do with yourself? John, you were telling me before, if you're repeating their name, it's actually it shows them that you've respected their time and who they are. But also it helps you memorize. Empathetic and curious. So, you know, tell me more about your job, John. What is it that you love about it? How long have you been there with PwC or whoever you're working for? They have an appropriate level of vulnerability and self-disclosure. So they care about what they're speaking about, and they have used great body language, eye contact, open and smiling. So I guess going back to point 4 would be, you know, you're talking about a project that you're doing. You might say, look, to be honest, it's quite challenging at the moment, but I'm looking forward to bringing on new team members and exploring a few different, hopefully, results that come out shortly, and hopefully improve our processes from there. That just shows that you're vulnerable, you're not perfect, but you're willing to grow and develop and challenge whatever you're doing. And that could come at a work level, personal level, study, whatever it might be. Great body language. They are interesting and interested as well. So you don't have to have a million facts that are awesome. You don't have to have been school captain or coached a basketball team, whatever it might be. But if you can think of one or two things that someone else might find interesting, to be honest, an interesting thing for me, for all international students, is that you've moved countries. So you're now in Melbourne or Victoria or Australia. You're studying in Melbourne or with a Victorian education provider. That's already an interesting fact to me, because you're from another country and I want to know more about that. So you can literally say, I'm John. I moved from Germany 2 years ago, living in Melbourne, studying engineering, and I love, on the weekends, I have a great little spot that I go to in the park, and there's a great cafe. That's great. And you say, tell us about yourself, and you show that you're interested. So they're just a few things that show that you're confident in your conversation, and that hopefully will then come across in interviews. It comes across in your personal pitch. And as we go into active listening and providing thoughtful responses, that reflects even more so. So what is active listening? Active listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about understanding the message, the emotions, and the context. It's about giving your full attention to and focusing on the speaker to comprehend the information they are sharing. So you're showing respect for their time. You're completely kind of in their zone when they're speaking to you. I guess it can come across a bit rude if you know there's someone speaking to you, it's one-on-one and you're looking and you're writing notes about something else, or you're on your phone, or you're distracted in other ways. So always trying to make sure that you're nodding along, understanding what they're saying. And if you don't understand it, ask questions. Active listening differs to passive listening. In passive listening is actually, it's not one-way communication. I think it's more where there is little or no exchange between the listener and speaker. So you may be in a lecture and you don't really need to speak, but you're listening and you're absorbing the information, but you don't need to like exchange back with the other person. So the components of active listening, so the non-verbal cues, pay attention to your body language, your facial expressions and gestures to take in additional insights. Second is paraphrasing and clarifying. So summarize and seek clarification to ensure accurate understanding. So if a person is talking to you about a course that they would suggest that you do, you might say to them, that sounds great. Do you think it would be worthwhile me starting that now? Do you know anyone else that has done that course? Do you know anyone in that industry maybe that I can speak to who may have more suggestions around that course? So always feel free to ask questions. Make sure that the questions make sense. Like if they were to tell you to go and get a job at the cafe down the road, a question might be, oh, but I don't drink coffee, so should I still go there? But it's like, think about, okay, the opportunity is the job and they're telling you to go there. They might have a contact for you to speak to when you get there. Think about the opportunity that is work, that is experience, not about, you know, how it might affect you and your interests. You're kind of going, I need experience, I need to work. And this is great for me to like socialize, to network, and to communicate in the workplace. So always, clarify what they might be referring to. And here's empathy and reflection. Put yourself in the speaker's shoes, reflect on their emotions and their perspectives, which if you have any questions about any of these, please let me know. Avoiding distractions, minimize distractions to stay fully present in the conversation. So even if that's in a team meeting where you've started a full-time job, there's 4, 6, 8 of you in the room, whatever it might be. If someone's presenting or speaking, make sure that you give them attention. And it might not be, you know, completely staring at them and waiting for their next topic or their next question, but just avoiding the distraction. So turning your phone over or making sure you're not typing to someone else when someone's obviously asking for your time. And that goes for job interviews as well. So anything that might distract you, just put it away. If you don't need a notepad, if you don't need things, just put them away so you can be completely yourself. So if you have any questions on those 4 points, so they are what we think are the 4 most important components of active listening. Providing thoughtful responses. So again, asking clarification questions. Don't hesitate to seek additional information. So examples are, can you elaborate on that or provide more context? As we were saying before, they might suggest a course, they might suggest going to a networking event, they might suggest the Study Melbourne resource that is Career Catalyst, and you might say, why should I be going along to that? Or was it yourself that went to a Career Catalyst event that you then thought it would be useful for me? So feel free to ask questions before you go and action the thing. Express empathy, so acknowledge the speaker's emotions and experiences. A simple, I understand how how you might feel, or I understand how that might feel, goes a long way and makes others feel supported and understood. So if they are telling you that a certain project is challenging or they can't find staff and you know they really need some support, you might say, I understand where you're coming from. I understand that this is challenging for the business. Can I help with anything? You know, if you're showing empathy, they actually, it comes across as, you know, I'm confident to help you. I'm willing to help and have that experience myself. Constructive feedback. So when providing feedback, focus on constructive and specific points. So try not to put someone down. Think of things that they can improve that are achievable, whether it's, hey, I would suggest that you use more imagery or more graphs when you're talking about numbers because it's easier to follow. I would suggest playing a short video. I would suggest more eye contact, anything that they can actually achieve without saying, look, you spoke really, like it was a very long presentation. You didn't need to speak that long. Maybe you could say, hello, let's think about summarizing a few of those slides into one, or condensing the information that you presented if you can. And it creates a collaborative atmosphere where feedback is seen as an opportunity for growth. So if someone was to come to me and say, oh, look, that presentation was a little bit too long, I'd take that on and be like, okay. Instead of them, they could say, hey, I actually think slide 6 and slide 2 kind of were the same thing. If you were to put those together, your presentation would be a little bit shorter, which then allows everyone to have more time in their day or allows for more questions. And let's go into preparing your pitch and using filler words. So if this is too much information or you'd like to rewatch this, we'll be recording the webinar and we'll pop it on YouTube today. So you'll be able to look back on it and grab any of the slides that you'd like, screenshot them. It would be great to hear from you as well if you have some success in an interview, if you tried a few of these strategies, whether it's taking a mindful minute and having a minute to yourself, whether it's using someone's name when you're interacting with them, whatever it might be. And here we'll go into your pitch and using less filler words, which are very important. And we'll go into that now. So your personal pitch is, how do you sell yourself when someone asks, tell me about yourself, or what do you do? As that might happen as soon as you walk into an event or as soon as you go to a resume workshop, whatever it might be, someone might say, tell me about yourself. And you might kind of go, I don't really know. If you can think of a personal pitch in the next couple of days, obviously this resource will help you and guide you through that. But that's something that you'll then be able to go, okay, if I can remember this, I can then take it with me to whatever it might be and personalize that pitch for what you might think it needs to be. If I was going to a networking event tonight, I would say, my name's Ellen. I have worked with Intern Match, the EdTech startup, for just over a year and love helping students get job ready. We work with the Study Melbourne, a team on projects projects like Career Catalyst. And it's really awesome to see the impact that it has on students. I hope to one day host more events and facilitate more programs like this. I think they're super successful to other people, and I love helping other people. Outside of this, I love to make things, and I'm always DIYing a project and traveling, and really value family and friendships and adventures. That's me. And that's just something I just came up with then. So you might kind of go, okay, I'm studying this. I want to do this in the future. This is what I love doing away from university or work or whatever it might be. And here's something like interesting about me. So you might even say, I'm Namita. I'm from, who was supposed to be hosting this webinar. I'm Namita. I'm from India. I moved to Melbourne in, I think, 2018 or 16. I can't remember. I did my master's in HR at the University of Melbourne. And now I work for Intern Match, helping students get job ready and helping them find internships. And I know that away from her work, she loves to see Victoria, visit Melbourne, go around the city, and hang out with her friends. So, and that's just something I've, again, thought about for someone else. So you might kind of go, I can think of it for someone else, but let's work on me now. It's very important that you can come up with this. So here's a little reflection on your personal pitch. Express your passion for what you do. And feel free, if you'd like, to share your personal pitch in this chat, or if you kind of go, oh, I don't really know if I have one, feel free to pop your your name in the chat and just say, I need some help with my personal pitch, and I can touch base with you via email. We've got all your email addresses. So your personal pitch, express your passion for what you do. What is it you love and value? Tailor your pitch to highlight aspects most relevant to the audience or situation. So like I said, if you're going to an event about engineering, maybe make sure that your personal pitch has a little bit of that in there. It might not be, I'm studying. It could be, I'm interested in studying in engineering. We'll go back to, start a brief background summary. So a brief background summary, a statement to capture attention. That could be, hi, I'm Namita. I just moved from India, or I'm Ellen. I grew up in Western Australia, and I've been in Melbourne for about 10 years. It's something that the other person goes, oh, tell me more about that. My key skills, strengths, or expertise, and what sets you apart from others. So you might say, I'm passionate about helping students, both local and international, get career ready by hosting webinars, providing them great templates to use to perfect their resume and cover letter, help them with interview tips, host great networking events, and find great companies that will take interns or take new career starters. Express your passion for what you do, and why is it that you love it and value it. And that could be the passion for your work. It could be for your study. Like, why are you studying veterinary science? Why are you studying what you're doing? If you can't think of anything, what is it that you love about Melbourne or your home country, or a hobby that you might have? I love soccer because I love teamwork and I love, the social aspect. It could be something like that. Tailor your pitch to highlight, the audience or situation, like we were saying before, and conclude with a call to action if relevant. So it could be, I'm very interested in, keeping in touch with people that I meet here tonight. I would like to one day, start an engineering degree myself, or get experience in geology, whatever it might be. And that's a call to action. So the other person kind of goes, okay, they want to keep in touch. They want me to help them out, and I'm happy to do so. Or you might say, would you mind if we connected on LinkedIn? And I might send you a message in a couple of days, and see who your mutual connections are that you might be able to touch base with. So you don't need to do it any longer than 45 seconds. I could talk underwater, so my personal pitch might tend to go off track a little bit, but feel free to think of 30 to 45 seconds about yourself. And then again, show your selflessness by asking them about them. So you might talk for 30 seconds and then say, I know that you're here tonight because it's an engineering event. Tell me about your background in engineering, or tell me about yourself. So you're confidently presenting your pitch, and then waiting for the other person to do so too. So this is Namita's personal pitch. As we said, she had every intention to host today's webinar. So she is currently back home in India for the Christmas break. So unfortunately, Zoom wouldn't let her log into this pitch, into this video session, but her pitch is here on the screen. I can read it for you. I'm Namita. I'm a student at La Trobe University studying my master's in marketing. I'm preparing to graduate at the end of this year. I recently completed an internship with a fantastic local marketing agency based in Collingwood, and I'm really looking forward to joining the workforce in 2023. I'd love to step into a role in digital marketing or social media advertising. So I think Namita set that up to kind of be more helpful for a student. So she's got a student on the left-hand side for a student that may sound like. Her personal pitch would be a little bit different. She would probably talk about coming from India, completing her master's at Melbourne University, but she's kind of rephrased this for a bit more of a simple pitch, because you may not have a whole lot to speak about, but hopefully these sort of things help you. Make sure you rehearse in front of a mirror, ask a friend or a family member to critique your speech. Please feel free to reach out to the Career Catalyst one-on-one sessions as well. They're called career development services. So after this session, feel free to Google that, Study Melbourne Career Development Services. It's a 30-minute one-on-one session, and you will speak to someone from Intern Match. We will be able to help you get ready for an interview. You can send through your resume, get some help. You might need to do a mock interview, and you say, hey, Ellen, look, I'm booking this session because I have a internship interview next week and I need some help. Hopefully we have some availabilities for the rest of December, but if not, we've got some into the new year and we can help with anything along those lines. You may not know how to network, how to go to a networking event and be confidently yourself and have a personal pitch. So make sure if you can book one of those sessions, we'd love to be able to help you. And just finally, using less filler words. So filler words could be things like saying, I need to find my person. Oh, perfect. So we just had a question about, finessing your personal pitch. So it's called, I'll type it in it's called the Career Development Services. Oops. So if you look up Study Melbourne Career Development Services, 30-minute sessions, they're really, really handy, and we can help you with your personal pitch by just listening to you, and we can kind of go, you know what, you've just told us everything we need to know. And we'll also send you an email after this webinar with the resources, so you'll be able to book via that one as well. So using less filler words. So a filler word might be something like saying or or like, or words that you probably shouldn't be saying, things that you should be a little bit more articulate. Your vocab should hopefully be a little bit more expanded than just using small words to fill time. So try and think of it as, is saying the word or like, or words that don't really have meaning, should you try and kind of come back from those and think about how you can expand your vocabulary, and you might just become more confident doing so. It does take a little bit of work. You might kind of go, oh, but I'd go to those words without noticing. If I don't know what to say, I just say it. But see how you go. Record yourself presenting or speaking, and this will hopefully help you identify the patterns, like when you say it. Pause and breathe. So try not to say, if you're a big user of the word instead of, if an interviewer was to say, tell us about your strengths, you might go, instead of saying just take a moment, pause and breathe, and then speak. Collect your thoughts, kind of reset, big deep breath, and respond. And the same goes for the third point. Take a breath before responding, maintain your composure, and reduce reliance on filler words. Expand your vocabulary, reduce the need for these filler words, searching for the right words. So that just comes with literally thinking of synonyms for words. So as you just heard, I said the word I didn't need to. And then you say So the word like might be similar to. It could be just words that come up and you think that's the right fit. And set realistic goals, because you need to gradually reduce these filler words. You're not going to just get rid of them altogether. They might come across in your personal pitch. They might come across in interview questions, whatever it might be. So just think about maybe recording yourself doing the commonly asked questions, and see if you can gradually reduce your use of those words. And as it says at the bottom, celebrate the small victories and be patient with yourself as you work towards improvement. You're not going to be perfect in your interviews. You're not going to be perfect in the workplace, in a meeting, but, just little things that you can tweak along the way that make you look like you're developing your professionalism. Super important, but see how you go. And I would just like to ask if you have any further questions. So we will send an email after this webinar with the recording of the webinar. It will also have the resources, including our great career development services, which are 30-minute sessions, all free. You're entitled to 2 sessions per year. They do book up quickly because, you know, like limited time and staff and everything. So if you can get a booking before the Christmas break, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll see you in the new year. We'll send all of that in an email following this. So you've got ask a question, how to remove nervousness when going into an interview. So as we were saying before, obviously, if you've researched the company really well, you've researched the job description, what the company stands for, their values, you'll feel more prepared. So the more preparation you do, just like anything, exams, uni work, whatever it might be, the more preparation that you do, the more hopefully the nerves go away. Make sure you have a great night's sleep beforehand. There's no point jamming as much research in right at the last minute. You're not going to feel easy about it. Make sure you have yourself a great morning the day of, a great breakfast. If things don't go well, just kind of go, you know what, it's out of my control. If you miss the tram, if you have to give them a call and say, look, I might be a couple of minutes late, just do so. The more measured that you come into the interview, the more that it shows to them that you're taking this seriously. And it might help with your nerves because you're kind of like, I'm doing everything I can. And that may mean that they still go, look, we haven't offered you the role, but really great work being super organized, doing your research. And obviously more interviews, more questions, more networking events will make you feel more confident speaking to other people. With interview nerves, I like to, the personal pitch is super important because it introduces you as the human that you are. Yes, they want to know what you're bringing to the company, but you might kind of walk into the interview room and notice the view of the building and you go, wow, what a beautiful view, what a great space to work in. Something that just kind of engages the other person with the, you know, the fact that you're just wanting to have a chat. You want to engage with the person before you then go into the stuff that you've then researched. Or it could just be as simple as, do you mind if I, you know, grab a glass of water because I need, and you might want to have it in your hand, or you might just want to have a sip. Anything like that just settles you, makes you feel more comfortable, I would advise. Of course, breaths, taking moments to, you know, absorb information, think about your answer, mock interviews with your friends, even if it's kind of last minute, it might be the day before and you go, look, I've got the interview tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'm still not feeling 100% about it. I'm not sure if, you know, my answers are great. Get a friend on the phone, even a family member back home or here. Reach out to many of the services that you've got here. There's great workers for, there's great staff working for Study Melbourne that might be able to help as well. And you might just feel a bit more like, okay, here's the 5 questions I think they'll ask. Do you mind if we just have a 10-minute phone conversation? I could probably think of a lot more, but maybe things like don't drink coffee, things that you usually do that may make you feel a little bit, you know, giddy and like, ooh, a bit nervous. Well, that goes for me anyway. What else? Yeah, just kind of have a few questions for the interviewer as well. That's super important. I know that it's even like now, you've asked a great question. An interviewer would love to probably be asked a couple of questions. You might kind of go, oh, they've answered everything, but have a few written down, bring in a piece of paper, a notepad or whatever, your phone or whatever it might be. And you kind of say to them, look, I might refer to my questions that I did have about the role just to make sure everything is answered. And you can totally look it down and go, oh, actually, there was a question I would like to ask about the team that I would be working with. It just shows, again, prepared. You've thought about the questions that they may not cover in the interview, and you're thinking about how this might affect you. And then that way you're deterring to another piece of content or piece of material that just breaks up the interview a little bit. I'd probably recommend not writing notes during an interview. Try to retain all the information in your brain, and then write them as soon as you leave. If anyone else has anything in the chat, like any suggestions, any tips about nervousness for an interview, please share them. We're always loving to hear from students. It's been a little while since I've actually been in an interview myself, or maybe a year or so. So I know that a lot of students and a lot of viewers on this webinar are always in interviews, especially if it's just a casual job. It could be as simple as, you know, do you have any hobbies outside of this? Do you have any hobbies that might affect your time, like your availability? And you might kind of go, oh, I didn't think they were going to ask that. Yes, I do play soccer, or lacrosse, or I go swimming, or whatever it might be. Or it could be, I have university. I'm willing to make, you know, be flexible. So let me confirm a few timings with my soccer team, or I know that it's only 8 p.m. on Thursdays. I might be able to do every second Thursday with them, or I can come in till 8 p.m. and then I have to scoot off to go to soccer. Yeah, so see how you go. But please share any more questions, any tips, anything you'd like. I'm just going to leave this next slide on the screen. Feel free to go. Yeah, that's fine, no problem. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you take a little screenshot or photo on your phone, or type in the link for the survey. We love to hear from students. We love to know what you thought of the session. You might want to add in what things you'd like to learn about next time. And every month we give away a Prezi gift card, which is super helpful. It just might get you something on Amazon or whatever it might be. So please pop in it will take you a minute or two. We've got one last thing from Mandy. From Mandy, I get really nervous on the day. It makes me sick and I have a mental blank, even to the easiest standard interview questions. That's totally normal. It's almost one of those things that some people are really good at interviews, and some people just, you can tell if they're not being themselves. And nerves are completely normal. The most confident person would even you know, say the wrong thing or not have answers to things in interviews, because you don't really know what's coming. It's kind of one of those things, you don't often get sent questions. You may not have ever met the person before the interview. If you can connect with them before you go in for the interview, it might be LinkedIn. You might just say, hi, John, I'm coming in next week for an interview, really excited and hope to meet, looking forward to meeting you then. He may not reply, but you've kind of gone, look, that helps that connection. When you then meet him in person, he might say, hey, I saw that you connected with me on LinkedIn, and it might just ease you a little bit. To be honest, with all of the tips that I shared before, probably just taking a moment to breathe, especially like you said, the easiest standard questions. If there's something in particular that like a standard interview question that you always trip up on, just make sure that you're, you know, very prepared. You might have some little cue cards that you use the week leading into the interview, but just try not to overwhelm yourself with too much information. Take big breaths, take time to think of your answers to things. And like I said before, just try and connect with the interviewer or the speaker as much as you can. And that might detract from your nerves because you're asking about them. Like you might say, oh, hi, you know, this is a beautiful view. Like, I love this office. It's so green. And how long, and you might say to the interviewer, how long have you worked here? And they might say, oh, and they might kind of go, oh, we were just about to start the interview, but you're interested in me. And you kind of, one little question you might go, okay, I feel relaxed. I'm just having a conversation with someone. We're talking in a professional sense, but you've now got a connection with that person. So if you want to, feel free to send me the questions that kind of trip you up every time. We might have some more tips and tricks up our sleeve there. And Lucy, you've asked, could you please give me advice how to communicate effectively in a quick networking event with a lot of strangers? So again, if you can think of something that the other person might be interested in. Of course, have your personal pitch ready to go. You might go up to someone and just say, hi there, I'm Lucy, I'm doing this. Do you think there's anyone in the room that I should speak to? Or you might just say, hey, how you going? What brings you here today? What is it that, drew? And they might just say, oh, I work for the company that are running the event. You're like, oh, great. How long have you worked there? See if you can just get the flow on of the conversation from just that. See how you go. And hopefully little things like that, like just connecting with one person in the room, go up to if you're at a networking event. I'm an event manager, so I'm constantly running events, programs, webinars, workshops, whatever it might be. If someone was to come up to me and say, hi there, like I can see that you're running around doing the organizing. Do you know, this is new to me. I've just arrived here. I don't know anyone. Is there anyone that you know that I might be able to chat to? I would love to go and introduce you to someone. And that might just make you feel more comfortable, or they might actually be able to help you with your career. So always just reach out to someone who looks approachable, but also look approachable yourself. So don't stand on your phone or avoid standing on your phone. Just got another person coming in. Avoid kind of being on your phone, or if you can, just use it for connecting on LinkedIn. Walk around, look interested. You don't have to push into conversations, but kind of smile at people, engage in what's happening around you. Speak to if there's a speaker, like a guest speaker, if there's a panel of speakers, try and go up and say hello. Just say, hi, Joseph, that was a really great presentation. I'm Ellen and I love to do this. And you might not be confident enough to go up and speak to them. So again, you can just kind of sit back. If they have activities, if they have group prizes, if there's things like trivia or whatever it might be that gets you engaged, try and participate. There's been a lot of times that I've noticed students coming to events by themselves, which is probably 80%, not maybe even 90%, that have never met anyone else in the room. Sometimes people do come with a classmate or a friend, which is great. If you're coming by yourself, introduce yourself to the people that are organizing the day. It might just make you feel more comfortable, even if they can't do anything, if they can't introduce you to anyone just yet. But you'll always be remembered by that person as well. So if someone was to come up to me and say hello, I might say, look, I'm a bit busy at the moment doing this, but grab a seat there and I'll come back to you. Or if I meet someone else in that industry, I will send them your way. I hope that kind of helps with your question, Lucy. I'll have a think, and if I think of anything else that could help, I'll reach out to you on your email. But yeah, that's today's webinar. We've gone a little bit over time because of the 15 minutes at the start. Sorry again about the technical issues. I'm not sure why Zoom won't work in India, but the lovely Namita will be presenting again soon. She's a superstar with her communication, with her resume tips, interview tips. So you'll hopefully see her face soon. But yes, please keep an eye out for the email that we'll send shortly. It will be super useful to book a session with our career services team. You'll also see it will send you resume templates, CV, cover letter templates, cover letter templates, which you might find useful over the next couple of months. You might be looking for part-time jobs. There are great volunteering opportunities going at the moment, and they will just help your communication skills go through the roof. You don't need to really interview for volunteer opportunities. In most cases, they might just ask for your resume or for you to complete some details. So you actually build your skills without having to go through the stressful situation of an interview. And again, final tip is that interviews aren't really most people who are interviewing don't like that the other person over the other side of the table is feeling nervous or feeling overwhelmed. So they understand that you feel that way, and they're not kind of going to go, wow, look at them go. They don't seem very confident. Just think of it as an interaction with two or more humans. ask them a little bit about themselves at the start of the interview, have a bit of a chat, and then get into the questions, the more formal part of the interview. If it's a phone interview, again, you can say, oh, how are you? Great to hear from you. I'm loving the warm weather in Melbourne today. I hope you're having a good day. Something like that, that just kind of, they go, oh, lovely to hear. Like, that's a really nice way to start a conversation. And it just makes you, you're human. That's setting the tone for the conversation. See how you go. And I wish you all really, I guess, good luck for your career journeys. Please reach out to our resources, and we look forward to hosting many, many more webinars soon. Last question, I'll just reply to you directly, just about the experience and certification. But otherwise, feel free, if you're finished and you don't have any more questions, feel free to exit the webinar, and I'll just answer a few last minute questions for those that have sent them directly to me. Thank you all for joining, and have a great Tuesday afternoon.